Hey sports fans, welcome to the first video in what I expect will be an ongoing series about what I call the 2 games 1 day challenge. I love finding opportunities to watch 2 games at 2 different stadiums on the same day, and many readers of the Itinerant Fan website have expressed the same enthusiasm for this challenge. For this video, I'm in Southern California, my home, but for the first time I'm getting the chance to see the area's 2 Major League Baseball teams, the Angels and the Dodgers, on the same day. It'll be a long but fun day, so let's go. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ed, and I chronicle all my sports travels on my website, Itinerant Fan. It has guides to all the stadiums of the major American sports leagues, plus some college stadiums and even major venues around the world. Check it out sometime if you're into traveling for sports. The Los Angeles area's 2 MLB stadiums are about 35 miles apart, and my day would start with the Angels playing an afternoon game at Angels Stadium of Anaheim. Then I'd make the trek back up to LA proper and catch an evening Dodgers game at Dodgers Stadium. As 2 games 1 day challenges go, I'd rate this one as fairly easy, with just the distance between the 2 venues providing a somewhat moderate amount of difficulty. By the way, it's not often each season that 2 MLB teams that share a market play games on the same day and at different times. I write a post for my website each spring about these 2 games in 1 day opportunities, and for LA I identified just one date where I could do this in the 2025 season. So I cleared my schedule for the day to make sure I could experience it. Driving back and forth in SoCal's notorious weekday traffic didn't sound like the most appealing way to do it though, so I took advantage of the train. Starting at LA's Union Station, I boarded Amtrak's Pacific Surfliner service that goes all the way to San Diego, but makes a stop in Anaheim. There's another option in the regional train service known as Metrolink, which is cheaper but offers fewer options if you're not commuting during rush hour, so Amtrak it was. Admittedly, there isn't a whole lot to see along the way, but the trip lasted about 45 minutes and eventually I arrived at the Anaheim station, and conveniently enough, the train platform is right in the shadow of Angel Stadium. The famous Big A video board greeted me as I walked across the stadium and around it so I could go in through the home plate gate. I scored a cheap ticket in the upper deck, known here as the view level, and after a walk up a series of ramps, I made it to my section a little after first pitch. By the way, that's the Honda Center, the home of the NHL's Anaheim Ducks, out in the distance.
So, fun fact, this is the first stadium in which I ever saw a sporting event. I was 9 years old, and the team was known as the California Angels back then, and we lived about 15 minutes away, so it was an easy place to go. What's interesting is that, like I'm doing right now, I'm sitting, for that game, I was sitting in the very last row of the stadium. So, talk about a full circle moment, right?
I don't get to many Angels games these days though, and on this day the home team was playing out the string in the final month of a lost season, so there weren't that many fans in the stands. And from my vantage point, not a whole lot has changed about Angel Stadium over the last 25 years or so. The outfield waterfall, installed in the 1990s when Disney owned the Angels, is still there, and if you walk around there are a few cool things to look at that illustrate this team's 60-year-plus history. Oh, and there's also this fun-looking arcade space in the outfield. The team's only World Series championship, won in 2002, is celebrated with a sizable exhibit on the main concourse, one of a few reminders of the team's past glory. As I tend to do at baseball games, I wander around and sit in different sections for a couple innings at a time, and on a hot day like this, that mostly meant spending time in the shade. I did have to weigh my food options also. Angel Stadium has a few local purveyors, but I found myself mostly considering some of the more classic stadium staples on this day. Chicken tenders were very prevalent though, so that's what I settled upon. It was fine, but nothing really to write home about. For the late innings, I settled into a shady spot on the left field concourse to watch the Angels score a run in the 8th and hold on for a 1-run win over the Twins. Surely it was a bright spot in a tough season.
So it's a little after 3:40, game's over, and I have about 3.5 hours to get back up to LA. So, piece of cake, but let's see how the trains work out for me.
It was just a short walk back to the train station, but I was faced with the choice of waiting 20 minutes for the next Amtrak train or nearly an hour for the next Metrolink train. Saving a few bucks to me wasn't worth the extra time I'd have to wait, so again I boarded Amtrak to head back to LA. 45 minutes later, I was back at Union Station, and I had about 2 hours before first pitch at Dodger Stadium, so I figured why not grab a quick bite. Fortunately, within steps of Union Station are a couple well-known eateries that are favorites of Dodger fans. Philippe's is a classic, open since 1908, and it's one of 2 restaurants in the city that claims to have invented the French dip sandwich. I've been here many times before Dodger games, but I decided not to go on this day. Instead, I headed to historic Olvera Street and Cielito Lindo. Here you can get 2 taquitos and avocado sauce for $6.50 plus tax, and it felt like the perfect between-game snack for me. Afterward, I walked back to Union Station to join the growing queue for the Dodger Stadium Express. It's a free bus service run by LA Metro to Dodger Stadium, and though you have to pay whatever transportation and parking to get to Union Station, oftentimes it beats paying $40 and up to park in the Dodger Stadium lots. Dodger games are always a popular ticket in LA, and even more so in 2025 because of the team's World Series title the year before. But there was another reason for the huge crowd on this day.
Well, I picked this date because it lined up with, the Angels game, but what I didn't know was that it was Shohei Ohtani bobblehead night. So it is a very popular game to be at, this ticket cost me a pretty penny, but you got to do what you got to do to complete the doubleheader, right? So here I am, and I get a nice bobblehead out of it.
Dodger Stadium underwent a renovation a few years back that created a true front door to the venue behind the outfield bleachers. Empty space was transformed into a large gathering area, filled with concession stands and places to lounge about and take in the team's illustrious history. Another relatively new feature is the boardwalk section, a standing area above the outfield pavilions where fans can hang out beverage in hand. Given the ticket demand for this game, I couldn't find a ticket in my normal perch high above home plate, at least not at a price I felt comfortable with. So I grabbed a spot on the reserve level along the right field side. Not the greatest view for a ball game, but it was fine for the first few innings. Of course, my appetite eventually compelled me to get up and seek some sustenance. And at Dodger Stadium, it's difficult not to gravitate toward the Dodger dog. When in Rome, right? Dodger dog in hand, I found myself another spot a few sections over to take in the middle innings.
So this is like the third venue in which, in my lifetime, I saw a game. As you can tell, I grew up here in Southern California. Even though I lived closer to Angel Stadium, I went to quite a few Dodger games growing up. And I grew to love listening to Vin Scully call Dodger games, just like so many other kids growing up in Southern California.
By this time, I was on hour 9 and getting a little tired from my long day of baseball. The 7th inning stretch, though, was a reminder that the finish line was in sight. To keep the energy level up, I moved to the outfield boardwalk area for the final couple innings. It was at that point I saw the Dodgers break the game open, with the usual stars leading the way. The outburst was capped by a Mookie Betts grand slam. To me, it was a great and somewhat fitting end to a long but absolutely fun day of baseball. So I bid Dodger Stadium farewell for now and headed back to Union Station on the Dodger Stadium Express, and thankfully I didn't have to wait that long for a bus. And I was back home just under 11 hours after leaving to start my LA baseball doubleheader. Have you ever seen 2 sporting events at 2 different stadiums on the same day? Or is it something you aspire to do someday? If so, let me know. Leave a like or a comment below and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we'll be making a lot more stadium and travel videos like this one. And if you're looking for more info on other major cities or sports venues, head to itinerantfan.com. Thanks for watching, and happy travels.